Hey, how's it going, you guys? This is Pet Platypus of DAJ Films here, and now it's review time for Adventure Time, Episode 2, Adventures in Lumpy Space. Let me make sure I got that right. No, Trouble in Lumpy Space, not Adventures in Lumpy Space. Well, that's what this thing says. Okay, so basically, I don't like this episode as much. It's kind of really stupid. Essentially, it starts out, they're having like a tea party, bouncing on like marshmallow things, with Lumpy Space Princess, or LSP for short, and it's basically like this, I don't even know what the fuck she's made out of, but it's like a lumpy little ball of like cotton candy looking stuff. She sounds very masculine, but it is a girl, I guess that's the joke, and it's very Valley Girl, like, like, how you doing, oh my god, like, it's that kind of talking, and I guess that's the joke, and they all talk like that once you go to Lumpy Space. And essentially she falls over off one of the marshmallows and bites Jake in the leg, and Jake's the dog who can like stretch and turn giant and stuff, like he's fucking Luffy from One Piece or Mr. Fantastic or some shit. And basically once you're bitten, it's like a werewolf thing, and you start to turn into a lumpy person just like her. So they have to go into Lumpy Space, which the portal is through a frog. I know. And then they're there, and it's a nice world design, and basically, in order to turn him back, they have to get the cure from these guys, but they don't want to give the cure, and then Jake ends up turning full lumpy, and then he goes off to prom coming, which is their dance, which that's kind of funny, the weekly prom coming. But they treat it like it's a big deal, even though it's weekly. And, yeah, so, and then, of course, it all works out, and they get turned back to normal and everything. So I'm going to talk about the positives. There were quite a few jokes I liked in this one. There's the scene where Jake is turning lumpy, and he's like, Jake's getting worse, and he's like, no, actually, I think I'm fighting it back with sheer willpower, and then, like, part of his face just bulges out, like a lump bulges out, and he's like, oh my, and he pushes it back in. That was funny. I don't know why, it's just, that was funny. Excuse me. Another scene that was funny was when he actually turns full lumpy, and, like, he's like, what was it? They get into an argument, because Princess Lumpy Space, whatever, she says something stupid, or, you know, messes up, they can't get the antidote because she said something rude, so Finn gets really mad at her, and she's like, I'm leaving, are you coming with me, Jake? And Jake's like, nah, man, this guy never turns his back on me. And then he turns full lumpy, and he's like, nah, I'm totally coming. Let me just turn my back on this guy real quick. That was funny. Just the way I don't know. It's not a unique joke. It's been done before, but that was funny. The way they talk when they're lumpies is kind of, you know, it's annoying. I don't think it's that funny. I think it's really stupid. Like I said, I don't like this episode as much as the first one, but I do feel like there was more funny moments. Like, I don't like her friend. Like I said, all the lumpies are annoying. But the one joke I do like the scene where he's like, I need to make the jump, because Lumpy Space is like a big cloud area. And he has to make the jump over to Lumpy, you know, he's going to jump to where prom coming is happening, and he's up higher on a different cloud. And the dudes who had the antidote are like, well, you can't make it, you're your normal self. So he actually lets himself get bit to turn into a lumpy to save his friend. And I was like, that's kind of nice. Like, that's kind of nice. It's not that serious. It's not like he's like sacrificing himself to save his friend or anything, but for what it's worth, that's kind of nice. And it's nicely done, I think. And they both end up turning into lumpies, and then it's like, well, I want that ball. And he's like, well, no. Because they're just jealous of each other. It's stupid. But, yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty funny. The ending felt very cliche, where, you know, same thing as the last ending. It's very cliche how it's like, you know, oh, I'm sorry I yelled at you, you know, people make mistakes. And she's like, yeah, I know, it's whatever. And then Jake, the dog, makes some kind of weird comment, and then he's like, no, let's dance, and they all start dancing, and it felt very PBS-ish, that ending, very cliche ending, very generic, very kiddish, but it is a kid's show. I mean, I didn't think, it's not geared for that young of an audience, but whatever. One other scene that was kind of funny is how Lumpy Space Princess is like, her parents like how she argues with them, like, you know, geez, mom, like, you know, that was kind of funny, you know, the parents are like, you know, idiots or whatever, that kind of teenage daughter thing going, that was kind of funny, but overall, not as good as the first episode. I did think this episode was mostly kind of stupid, but there were a few jokes I liked. Another positive I do want to give to the series overall is world building, and if you don't know what world building is or what that means, it's literally exactly as it sounds, world building. It's building the world that they live in, not just saying, like, this isn't like Adventure Time, but let's just say you have like a medieval fantasy and it just takes place in a generic medieval fantasy world. That's okay, but world building is kind of like Lord of the Rings, where it's like they're in a medieval Middle Earth, but you see places, you know, you see like this is Rivendell where elves live, and then this is Lothlorien, and this is the Shire, and this is Bree, and this is Minas Tirith, and you see specific cities. Now each city is different, how the different people do things, how different things are set up. You know, you have the cave where those ghost soldiers were, and they have a backstory. That's world building. One Piece is fucking amazing at this. Another anime that I watch called Toriko is amazing at this. And world building is always something I love because it makes the world feel more three-dimensional. And the Land of Oo actually does that. Like, the first episode doesn't show you much, but this episode, you know, it's like, oh, there's lumpy space. And there's this place where you can bounce on these marshmallows. And, you know, there's the big castle, and then Finn and Jake's house, which you only see in the intro, but they have like this badass tree house, which is actually really awesome. So I'm a big fan of world building, so they do a good job of that with, I'm pretty sure it's called the Land of Oo. And yeah, so cool. I liked the first episode well enough. I didn't like this one as much, but I'm not gonna say it's like bad. I'll say like subpar, because I really didn't like the humor of the Lumpies. I just kind of annoying. But yeah, I'm going to start episode 3 pretty soon, and I'll make a review of that. So overall, yeah, still jokes I'm liking, but it's nothing phenomenal yet. But I do have faith that, because if it can stick to the good jokes, because these are the first few episodes, it could get better as it goes, like certain things do, you know. They got the good jokes. I think they need more of the good jokes. It's still unpredictable, but anyway, overall, yeah, I'd say subpar episode. Again, it's hard to rate it on a number scale with a series like this that's so unpredictable and wacky and crazy and weird and random. But yeah, I would say around subpar, but there were jokes I did like. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.